All right, hey everybody, it's John at Blue Ribbon Koi Marine. We're here at a pond, and we installed this filtration system last year, and we are going to replace a UV bulb today. This is a great system that we installed. It's an Artesian 2 performance store Artesian 2 pump. I believe it's a half horsepower. Yep. We did the GC Tech Alpha 1. The nano media in it, and the Zapp Pure. This is the Zapp 20. It's a stainless steel UV, and the bulb actually goes up and down in it, and the water comes in on the bottom, comes out the top, so it keeps that cylinder full. Great shape, great health. However, it's not crystal clear. The UV bulb has been needed to be replaced for a little bit. It's actually been off for a couple of weeks, so the water is starting to turn. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that today and walk you through the process of how to replace the bulb in this GC Tech Zapp Pure Zapp 20 UV. Okay, so this UV is actually a Zapp Pure. They've changed the names on them a couple times, but this is actually called the Zapp Pure 3300. I believe this is enough for 12 or 15,000 gallons. I don't know off the top of my head, but you can see the model number down here. And we have our extra bulb over there. So the first order of business, I'm going to take these 6 screws out, simple Phillips head screwdriver. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then our next video will have the inside of this. All right, so one thing I did want to mention is that we did unplug this unit before we did anything. We also took out these 6 screws, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Be very careful. They are small screws. There's not much to them, and if you drop them, you're probably not going to find them, so be real careful there. So this top just literally lifts right off. It's an L-shaped piece. We'll just put that aside. So when you get in here, you're going to see a manual switch. This allows you to turn the UV on and off. A ballast, and there's a little piece of fiber optic cable here that it goes down into the UV chamber, so that when it goes on, you actually can see the glowing light here. Some of the units may also have a pressure switch, and it's another unit that just kind of sits back in here with more wiring. So you may encounter that as well, but that doesn't change anything here. So we are going to go ahead and just replace the bulb. This right here is the quart sleeve. This is what actually closes or makes the seal between the water from the pump and that quart sleeve that I was talking about. So we're not going to mess with that. All we're going to do is take these 2 screws out, take this top off, and that bulb will come right out. All right, so let's go ahead and turn, what's your off switch here? This one here? Okay, we'll turn that pump off just so we don't have any pressure on this. And so this stuff here you can see is all kind of tied together, nice and neat. We're going to have to snip that. So we're going to snip this little tie. Careful not to snip any wires. Okay, so this is simply the ballast hooked up to a connector that's hooked up to your bulb. That's basically suspended in that little area. So we're gonna it's suspended inside that quart sleeve. So we're just gonna unscrew this. And it's a little bit. It's a very simple setup, but it's a very I don't want to say cumbersome, but there's got a lot of little wires in here that can get in your way. So don't, again, lose those screws. That thing comes off. And again, all this is a piece of fiber optic cable that when the bulb is on, it just sits in there and it illuminates so you can see at night that this is lit. There's a little rubber seal here. This basically protects the top of the quart sleeve. So be real careful that when you take this off, you now have the quart sleeve exposed. So like I was saying before, this seal here, this is what, when you tighten that down, That's what's keeping the water from the pump and the pond and everything away from all your electrical connections. So now here's when you got to be a little bit careful. So you start to remove the bulb, okay? You kind of just wiggle this off, get that out of the way. Then you got to kind of push things aside. Do not drop this bulb right now. If you drop this bulb, you are going to knock the bottom of this quartz sleeve out. And then you've got another whole issue on your hands. So there's your bulb. There's your quartz sleeve. This looks like some little pieces of maybe that fiber optic cable that may have broken off and might have been stuck down there a little bit farther. But that's it. That's your bulb. So now we're going to take the new bulb. With the old bulb, I'm not worried about touching it. But on the new bulb, we're not going to touch the glass. You only want to touch the ends. And we're basically going to do the same thing. We're just going to slide it right in. And then we're going to reconnect it and put it back together. So we'll come right back with the new bulb. All right, so this is the new bulb, the Zapp 20. I call it the Zapp 20, but it's the 3300 is the model. And as you can see, I'm not touching the glass on the bulb. I'm only holding it by its ends. Okay, watch the wiring here and be real careful here that you're going to go in straight. You don't want any of these wires inhibiting you from pushing this, letting this go in straight. Again, do not drop the bulb. If I drop this right now, it's going to crack the bottom of that quartz sleeve, and then we have another whole issue we need to deal with. So once I get this in place, all we got to do is reconnect this. This will only go one way. See, it didn't fit that way, but it fits that way. It's a good tight fit. Basically, the bulb is being suspended by this connection, so it's important that you got a good connection on there. Then the bulb just basically goes in there, and we reverse the process. We take the little rubber piece, put that back on top of the quartz sleeve. You can see that, and you'll notice this rubber it's kind of got two little flat spots. They're going to go on either side where these screw holes are, just so that when you screw it down, it's not in the way of that. And really, this ring is kind of overkill. It just kind of keeps everything in place. But the bulb we could be done at this point. It could just sit there. But to keep it from falling apart, or sometimes I guess when you turn the pump on and off, things will shake and rattle and roll. But this is just basically putting this ring back on. My hope. And this does not need to be anything crazy tight. You can see these are just a screw with a little nut on it, just to keep it in place. That's all it is. That's it. And then I just took this little fiber optic cable and just kind of stuck it down next to the bulb. It should actually go in a little bit farther than that. It looks like this one kind of just deteriorated over time, but it's you don't need much to be able to be visible. But I'll stick it down in there, just in between that rubber. Now we would plug it back in and turn it on. Now I do caution you not to look directly at the UV light. Obviously through the camera it's not a problem, and it's very, very difficult right now. So if I turn this thing on really hard, but I can look down there. I do have 100% UV sunglasses on, so if I do get some UV coming up into my eyes, it's not going to burn my retinas. But you don't want to look directly at the bulb, and I'm not looking directly at the bulb, but you can, if you look down in there, I don't know if you can get it on camera, Kyle, you can see that it is glowing. You see a little blue glow. You get it all? It's kind of hard to see, I'm sure, but there's a little blue glow in there. And you do definitely want to look at this to make sure that, you know, when you replace the bulb, number one, you made good connection, and number two, you don't have another problem where maybe your ballast is blown, maybe you have a problem with power. If you have a flow switch, if you're not getting the right flow through the UV, it will not turn on the UV. It's a safety. So those are all really important issues to look at. But that's really it for changing the bulb. Very simple. I used one tool. No, actually I did use a pair of nippers to nip that wire off. And if you really wanted to be fanatical about it, you could get a zip tie and tie that back together, but I'm not worried about that. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not getting shipped. It's staying right here now. So last thing I'll do is put the cover on, and the UV is done, ready to go for another year.